a lot of these people would really like to give up and they don't really have that drive.
M80's bad. M80's bad.
The expectation should be to win first place.
Get them to Ascent.
We kind of just threw at the end.
And just winning everything.
I'm with a better team now.
30 seconds left. Yeah, M80 we're winning 5 versus 3.
Corner. Oh, why not? I mean, take what like now over to the first.
And they buy themselves some time. It's Spaz that could do it.
Look how quick this point. Oh, especially now.
By Rebellion Black, your challenger champion.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back at long last Valorant Challengers North America, where we're getting ready to start stage 2 of our competition. I'm Sierra, joined here by Dan and Ash. It's only been a couple of weeks, but I missed you guys. Dan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm excited. I'm excited to go back into challenges. It seems like, yeah, like you said, it wasn't that long. I feel like other regions, they are still just finishing stage 1, but we're moving forward. We're going fast, and we never know what to expect, so it should be good.
Yeah, it feels like it was honestly longer than a couple of weeks. So I'm really excited to get back into things. I know we just had our promotion relegation as well, and some interesting turns of events with roster changes as well heading into stage 2.
Yeah, it hasn't been that long, but in the Valorant world, things happen fast. But let's talk about the bracket, and let's talk a little bit about a couple of things that haven't changed. So looking at the formatting for stage 2, it's going to be the same format as stage 1. This all looks complicated. I'll boil it down real simple for you. 4 wins, move on to playoffs. 4 losses, you are out. But a couple of these different teams here, Ash, you were talking about this promo relegation, and we're saying goodbye to a couple teams, welcoming a couple of in, and of course, being able to see a team that's, well, out for a redemption run.
Oh, absolutely. You have Ambrosia, who's come back up through that promotion relegation tournament. They looked insane during that. I feel like Satellite just like popped off the entire time. And then you have Fun Havers, who's coming in, who were previously going by a different name during promo relegation. I believe it was Nonverbal was what they were called back then. And then you've also got a new premier team within Prosperity Esports coming into the fray here as well. So a couple of new faces, especially. I think that's what's always really fun about the fact that we do have these premier teams slotting into challengers now, is this opportunity for new talent to make their stamp.
It is not all about the new talent, Dan, of course. When we're talking about the unexpectedness of Valorant going into stage 1, that was the big conversation. But after that playoffs, I feel like we have a little bit more of expectation of a couple of these top teams. I mean, Shopify, Rebellion Black, of course, winning, M80 looking clean. There's a lot of expectations on a couple of these bigger names, and we'll have to see if they can keep that consistency now heading on forward.
Yeah, it is really hard to be able to win these playoffs back-to-back, so it's not going to be easy for Shopify Rebellion Black. Surely, guys, this is M80's win. Surely they will not get second place again. It's not like it's been like that for years. They got it. They got it. I'm believing day one, M80's winning it all. It's fine.
The ultimate org curse, M80 with these second places. But you know what? Dan's calling it first day of stage 2. Honestly, I love it. So she's eye on the prize here. But let's talk about this M80 squad, as they're actually going to be the first team that we see up for stage 2, heading up against this Ambrosia on this redemption arc. And heading into this stage, we kind of touched on the fact that, there's a little roster mania. There are some changes. M80 is not going to be a team without changes here, Dan. 2 big changes, not just Victor, but Chet as well coming into the roster. Huge pickups.
Chet was not coaching for a little bit. If you guys were on social media, you know, he was explaining what the situation was. Oh, good. He's back, and now he's in M80. I feel like when we were thinking about teams that he could go to, we knew that it was going to be a tier 2 team, and it was going to be M80 most likely. That was just the vibe that he gives. Like, he just fits M80 really well. And also to talk about Victor, we know Victor from VCT. We know him from Optic, from NRG. And then he was not playing for a little bit. So I was a little worried when I saw the B-Dog was out, because we always talk about how flexible this guy is when he was playing it, and he was forced to play into the duelist role when Sato was not here. Then he was kind of playing everything else and everything that was needed for the team. But if there's one guy that is just as flexible as B-Dog, is Victor. So I'm excited to see him play again.
Yeah, not even just as flexible, even potentially more flexible for Victor to be coming in for this squad. The fact that it's alongside Chet, who's been his head coach, since like 2021 is huge. I do think it's going to be interesting to see Victor also slotting in for a team now under a new IGL for him, right? Caillou has been leading this M80 team, but Victor has not had an IGL other than FNS since his days on T1 back in 2021. So it'll be interesting to see how maybe that kind of affects things there. But I think that what's going to be more interesting too is the potential role swaps for this squad. I'm curious to see if we're going to see Victor slotting into that Sentinel here for M80 and Bao returning to his roots on that controller.
M80's definitely not been a team that's been shy with these role swaps, as of course they got some great roster of players, and we got to see a little bit of those changes there in stage 1. I want to talk about Okeanos first, because Okeanos, when we've seen him in the past, he has just been such an outstanding duelist and someone that got to reprise that role, Dan, at the beginning of the stage here while we were waiting for Sato. But when Sato got integrated to the roster, Okeanos went more into a flex role, but he's still been crushing it.
Yeah, Okeanos is such a good player. I think is a lot of people's favorite player when it comes to, not the duelists, not the flashy ones, but the guy that's always there. And the way that he was playing on this initiator has been really nice to see. One of the best ones that we had in playoffs, and I think in general when we were watching the Swiss stage, when we were talking about M80 not looking too good at the beginning even of last year. His whole career, he's been incredibly consistent, and I'm excited to see more of it. This is what you need when you're bringing these small pieces that can add a lot, right? We're talking about Victor, we're talking about Chet, and then you want to have those players that you can rely on that have been so good throughout the years, and Okeanos is just one of them.
Yeah, such a consistent backbone for the squad. The fact that there really was no fall off as far as his performance slotting into this initiator. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this can continue forward for Oki, because he also adds that flexibility. We were talking before about how B-Dog could have slotted onto that duelist and whatnot. And Okeanos is very much so that player where we're going to expect to see him on that Yoru when M80 do want to pull out those double duelist compositions, which has been just so strong, I think, within the meta of Valorant.
And I always love when M80 do go towards that double duelist, being able to see Okeanos perform alongside Sato. And let's talk about Sato. Sato is someone, of course, that's the reason for the role swap. But Sato into this roster has been such a highlight. Of course, he didn't get to join until later on in this stage. So it was just for the last couple of weeks and then for playoffs. And Ash, he's had a lot stacked against him between the move, between Visa, etc. And I know he came off of the stage 1 performance not necessarily feeling great, but he's still putting up the numbers. And if that is not great, Sato, well then, what's in bound for the future?
I really think that's the key thing that we have to lock in on here is that we really haven't seen peak Sato yet, I don't think, in VCL NA in particular. And this is a player where you're talking about the odds being stacked up against him. Not only that, but there are a lot of expectations for him as well. And despite the fact that maybe he's not as thrilled about his performance, he is still more than capable of doing his job, which is that space taking that he's able to commit for this team, right? Just being able to kind of get into the back line there of the enemy squad and just continue to help with that zoning while he's pushing in so that the rest of the team can go for that follow-up. It's not like he hasn't been going for those initial engagements. He's still consistently doing his job as the tip of the spear.
When you're building a team like M80 and you're wanting to bring this insane guy from Brazil, you need to get him a visa, a place to stay, all that. You are trusting in the long run. You're not going for the shorter goals of, oh, we're going to win in stage 1. And I mean, it got pretty close. They didn't win it. But going into stage 2, we have to put M80 as the favorites. Now that Sato has been here for a little bit longer, they're able to bring, I mean, you think about the coaching staff in M80, and I don't think anybody can match it. I mean, we talk about Psycho in the backlines, we talk about Drew Spark, we talk about Chet, the latest edition. It just, nobody has 3 guys like that in the backlines trying to help out. So it's really cool to see. And now that you have Sato with so much support, with that extra time, you need to expect him to do good. He ended up in that top 10 for playoffs. I think he's going to be aiming for that top 1, and he has the capability to do so. We saw him in Ascension. We saw what he was doing in Brazil, and now is the time to show it more consistently.
And Ascension last year was amazing for Sato. And of course, Ascension is what the teams are aiming towards this year. So even if M80 second the playoffs, it's all about that long journey. I love that you bring it up. And they're definitely looking good for that. But I think in this matchup as well, because I think when you look at an underdog situation, Ambrosia definitely have a tall task ahead of them. But this is a team, I think, a little bit revitalized. Of course, they had a lackluster stage 1. I think it's pretty fair to say when you're looking at a team that is sent to that promotion relegation tournament. But once they hit that, Dan, they actually did really, really well in rallying back. So this is the full redemption arc for the team and making some big changes at that.
They won the three matches that they have to win to be here right now on their match. They won relegation, and you know, you're thinking we're going to keep the roster the same because it was working. We won that way and we look pretty dominant. But no, they actually bring some interesting changes where Shondex and Willie are going to be playing in. We last saw these two players playing for Blue Otter, but they were not playing the whole season with Blue Otter. So Willie's, for example, only played that week 1 of stage 1, and then he was out. He was playing the Tejo, and then Bob, as we always talked about, started taking that Tejo role, nothing else. Willie was out. So he's going to go back into it. And then Shondex as well, that we saw for a little bit longer. I think it can be an interesting piece to bring with the Sentinel. We're looking for Sentinels right now who are very flexible, who are also really good at playing buys, and Shondex is one of them. But it is definitely a topic of conversation of why they did these changes after winning relegation.
I think it comes down to the fact that, you know, I know some people might be a little bit confused by it, but realistically, it kind of makes sense to me. I feel like, one, we also have Akrian back on the roster, right? I know he was out because he was dealing with some issues outside of the game and whatnot. So finally being able to actually like step it up for the team when he missed out on competing during stage 1. But there were a lot of role issues, I feel like, where we had several players flexing around during the first stage for Ambrosia. And I think this really solidifies now the ability for this team to just really lock in their set roles, with Shondex being set on that Sentinel, not likely seeing him flex onto like any initiators and whatnot, and then Welly being a very flexible initiator player with a deep agent pool when it comes down to those initiator agents too. So I do think that this is the chance for Ambrosia to kind of just step up their game in that kind of sense, so they don't really have to worry about kind of have to flexing on different roles throughout the season on different maps, depending on which compositions they're looking at.
There's still one big role question, though, when you're talking about, okay, there's a lot of things that don't necessarily have to change, or we can see comfort here. And that's, of course, with the departure of IGL Screwface, who's stepping into that slot. So this is time to talk about Glyph here, because this is who's going to be stepping into this IGL role, but has been somebody that, too, throughout the season has just been really, really consistent. He's able to do it all, you know, can control, Sova is always good for his one. So I'm looking forward to, in today, Dan, him being able to step up again and show what he's got, not just in the server with his playing abilities, but with the calling as well.
Which is something that is never easy to do, but we're seeing more and more in Challengers, right? These players that just have to take the IGLing role, that they've never done it before. Maybe they don't have as much experience and you just have to do it. A lot of players that we've seen have actually been really surprising. I think going into the Challenger season, before stage 1, we were talking about these new IGLs, how they were going to perform, and I think he has the potential to do so. He's pretty flexible, as you were saying, Sierra. He's been playing mainly a lot of controller, but also a little bit of Tejo here and there, and just bringing different things where I just want to see what Ambrosia can do. The roster, even before, we always talked about the potential that they have when you look at the individual players, but it's just as they're coming together, is this going to be a roster that is going to work out? Are we going to keep seeing changes? How much are you willing to do to improve fast? Because it just seems like for teams like this, you're slightly kind of always running out of time, and you don't have, honestly, the easiest match to start with.
Especially if you're looking at the points that you need to try and make it to Ascension, missing out on crucial points from that stage 1, as of course you had a different path to take. Wondering if these changes here and now is going to be enough for the team. But you talked about the potential of the team, and that is definitely something that this team has, especially with some of these players. And talking about Satellite, this is someone that's not just us that looks at this player like, hey, there's the potential here, but even Ched, who he gets to play against today, which is cool, made a list of like these underrated tier 2 players that really, if a T1 org wanted to look into and invest into, like they could be super successful. And Ash Satellite on that list for good reason too. Like Yoru Masterclass in the grand finals, the promotion tour, like he really bright spot for the team.
Absolutely. And we're talking about how he was by far, like genuinely by far the best player during promotion relegation. No one was really coming close to his stats there. But not only that, I know Ambrosia kind of flew under the radar as a team during stage 1, but throughout the Swiss stage as well, Satellite had incredibly consistent performances at a top level. And like you were saying, great Yoru masterclass, one of the best Yorus, aside from, the likes of like Oki and Eggster, I think within VCL NA as well. And he is a really big shining spot for this Ambrosia squad, and a big reason as to why, they were even able to get into stage 2.
Yeah, when I look back at the run that they had to take, and I imagine this team without Satellite, there's still some really great players, don't get me wrong, but the amount of rounds that he was able to put up, this firepower and everything else, I think was just top tier. But I still think when you look at throughout, this is a tough matchup, but when you look at the numbers, actually, I think this caught me off guard a little bit. I'm not
Wait a
gonna lie,
minute.
Dan. Like, what?
Wait. I don't even know if this counts relegation, promotion relegation or not. Wait, surely, right? Surely.
It has to. But yeah, I mean, when we praised Sato for being just one of these top duelists, and then the Satellite for this potential on a roster that hasn't necessarily realized that, like, Dan, this is painting a really cool story heading into today's match.
When we went into stage 1, what we were talking about is these duelists and the insane ACS, insane stats that we're getting in general. And I think Satellite is just one of those guys that can have that strong impact from the beginning. Again, I mean, it's not really because Sato is such a good player that they're gonna probably match really well, but it's more the whole team of M80, the fact that they're staying together, the fact that they've been playing these matches together, they made it to the grand finals, that should give them the upper hand. Sato, I feel like it's just set up in so many better ways, but I also want to see what Chet is able to do with Satellite. If he's praising them and praising him as like one of the best players that we have, one of the players that could potentially go into tier 2. Okay, what can we do? How are we going to be seeing the Satellite growth throughout the stage? And again, today is not going to be easy, but it's just the little things and those little duels that I think he would be able to have a good impression. Oh my god, a cat.
He had to come check the numbers for himself. He was like, what do you mean? What do you mean here?
Sato's, yeah. No, I get it.
Hey, I mean, if we're looking at a Satellite that we've been highly praising, and a Sato who's maybe been a little disappointed in his own performance, Sato's had a couple of more weeks to get comfortable, so I think it's all going to come down to what's being brought in the server today. But let's start talking about the match at hand and the map picks and bans. It's been a couple of weeks, but it seems like an eternity in the Valorant world. And some things they just never change. First opportunity we get, Ash, we're headed to Ascent.
And I think that's the big thing, right? Is that we didn't get to see Ascent during stage 1, during the Swiss stage and playoffs, right? So going into Ascent now, you've got like the map changes that have come through for this map as well, with the reinforced wall over towards B main. That's going to change like kind of like the approach to how you look for that B hold on defense there. And I think it's going to be really exciting to see both of these squads kind of have like a first look for this year on this map. I never would have thought that I would be saying that I actually missed seeing Ascent in competitive Valorant play.
No, if we see some standard compositions of like last year, 2 years ago, I'm gonna go crazy.
No,
that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. I think surely not, but it will be a good test to see what teams have been running at. I feel like in tier 1, we've seen a lot of different variations. We've seen the waylay on the duelist. We've seen the standard as well. We've seen the double sentinel with the deadlock. So there's many different things that teams have been able to do, and I think it will give us a good idea of what this new version of M80 can look like, because I feel like it's going to look really different to what we saw in stage 1. I feel like Chet just has a very unique way of guiding his teams in the past. So I wouldn't be surprised with maybe going a little bit standard, a little bit slower, a little bit more towards that early map control, and then working around it. It'll be a test. I wanna see Ascent before I get mad.
All right. Well, I'm right there with you. I'm hoping that we get to see a little something different. So let's head to the agent select and see what the teams are going to be delivering to us. It's a traditional map. I think it's like the classic end-all be-all map here of Valorant. It's a lot figured out, but you know, a smidge of changes.
Okay.
Ooh, all right, Dan. We're getting some spice. We're cooking.
I'm not mad. We're cooking. I'm okay with this. I like Sato on the waylay. We've never seen that before, and that's gonna be exciting when we talk about the waylay and the way you're gonna be able to implement it on this map. Is just one of the things that you could and could not play, and it just slightly different. And Victor as well. We had questions of what he was gonna play because we talked about the flexibility, and then him on the Vice. I like what I'm seeing. On the other side, Ambrosia, I think Satellite has been the best on the Euro too, so it's good to see him on the Euro on this map.
Yeah, I think it's really nice that we're keeping things fun and fresh here for both squads. I'm really excited to see what the approach is going to be. M80's comp looking honestly like just super aggressive overall, but I think something that I want to pull back to as well is for Ambrosia. I think this is a really big litmus test for this new reinvented roster heading into stage 2, because they did not have, you know, the craziest of matchups back in stage 1. They played against like Cuber, and then for the most part, the rest of the teams were kind of like mid to low table teams from what I can remember. So it's going to be a really big test for them to see how close they can take it here up against M80, who are definitely the giants in this head-to-head.
It's time to see if they're ready for this test. It's their map pick, and it's time to head over to Ascent to see if Ambrosia can indeed get that upset, or if M80 with these changes, if this is going to be the waylay to victory. I'm so sorry. All right, let's head over to Uber NY. Let's get started here with map number 1.
Thank you very much, Sierra and the desk. Yeah, some Uber here with Dr. Wyatt Riverside, mother lovers. We have a G2 comp being peddled out here by M80. Great to see that one. It's been pretty nasty in VCT so far. Feels like an evolution, I guess, on, you know, what was the classic comp that we're seeing all the time. Finally, teams picking up this new look with the, of course, the, you know, the Vice and the Waylay coming into their setups.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about a quote from Jogamo after they had won the first time Ascent where he was playing Waylay, in which he said, the best Jets, they're just playing Waylay. Yep. Will that be true? Still kind of waiting to find out. We've been seeing Jets still, to be honest, but I'm excited to see some more Waylay being played as well. We've obviously seen how effective it is on this Ascent map in particular, with that Waylay trailer type gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, pretty insane stuff. Obviously, you know, that's still that like great mechanical potential that you have, especially when you're trying to get into that B main. You can always, you know, recall or refract, as it were, and pull yourself out of what could be a compromising scenario. We're going to be getting into the game in just a second. Well, game sound up for you. There we go. And away we go. Ambrosia going to start on this attack side, and Shondek's already off to the races, and Sato already asks for an early engagement and gets more than he bargained for.
M80 had an effort to go for a bit of a trap play there, where off the contact from Sato, they would have sent out a Paranoia and then presumably some salvos as well, but it doesn't really matter. It just gets one-tapped insta, and Ambrosia want to pivot to this A execute.
Good presence in A main. Obviously, no real action around the early one-wayers. M80 wanted to be more aggressive, assertive on the B side of the map. So here come the guided salvos to try and clear through. This is about to get very busy though as the flash comes out, and Victor makes his way onto the Challenger stage once more with a flourish. Q is able to find 3. And up to Archean. Will be very quickly shut down. The pivot here for Ambrosia, the bounce across to A, does not pay off.
That was lovely from M80, despite being down one man in that scenario. The second that shear gets triggered on A main, pop flash out of the smoke, it's switched, they all swing together, hopefully isolating just maybe 1 or 2 players. They are actually able to catch essentially the entire Ambrosia side. Really nice reaction from M80, the massive favorites coming into this game. You really are hoping, if you're an M80 fan, that they just win this in clean 2-0 fashion, given how good this squad had been looking since Sato had been integrated. You don't want them to slow down at all.
Val, excuse me? Okay, this is a little bit messy here. As M80 on this anti-eco style just kind of get a little bit loose over on the A side of the map. Sato, of course, going up to an outlaw, but that was very wonky.
Worrying signs. Are we slowing down? Hopefully not. I mean, Victor has only got this ghost at the moment. Needs to wait for that dark cover to expire over towards a heaven. And Sato slowly and tragically attempts to break this door with a classic. Never fun.
We did it. We got there. Good slow. Ooh, okay, takes that fight. Also, yeah, okay. A weapon maybe for Victor to work with there. Tough to get the Guardian in this situation, though. Victor with the ghost arc in 100 HP and does find an extra little bit of damage here. Probably not how this round conventionally would have gone. M80 really aggressive in taking these early fights today. Again, punished even worse than they were on the pistol.
That is back-to-back rounds where they have gone for that instant extremity fight. Certainly the massive favorites to win it in the anti-eco, but it looks like just the aim went awry in some of those situations. Ambrosia connecting the shots that they didn't. As simple as that. And now they are relegated to a whole bunch of sheriffs and one Bucky. The Bow intends on trying to get close up in main with, I imagine.
It looks like that is the idea. M80 want to get in behind this one way. Bow's not going to get a lot of action here as Ambrosia has definitely slowed the pace down. No mid presence here for M80, of course. Just don't have the weaponry to command any of that space. That eventually is probably going to allow someone to get up mid, maybe make a play through market, a pinch to B, and that might be what, Sato was trying to avert here, getting that free information and refracting back to safety.
Now Ambrosia have a couple choices, knowing that they've lost B main. Do they try to re-clear, or do they try to just pivot into taking space elsewhere? It looks like they do want to get back into main at this point. Just looking like the right decision as M80 are re-pushing, trying to re-clear elsewhere towards mid.
Okay, not bad. You are trading down in these pistols, but this is Ambrosia pretty well bought up here. Kiyu, yep, eventually gets caught out there in market. Shondex should be able to pave the way for a cross to the B side properly, and it's just Okeanos and Bao left to work with here. And M80, frankly, this is a problem of their own design, based on how the previous round went. Now, of course, have to suck down on that humble pie as Shondex handles Okeanos. Bao would like to have maybe found a way to get in towards a weapon here, but nicely done. Good conversion here for Ambrosia. And, crucially, 2 Vandals into the next round.
Despite M80 having fair enough weaponry to try and, at the very least, get a few guns away from Ambrosia, they are only able to successfully remove one. So just take a peek at the credits that Ambrosia team, the one who just barely, by the skin of their teeth, have remained in this league, have already against one of the best teams we've got. It's M80 squad that made it to the finals. Sure, they finished in second place, but that was a close BO3 where they did take one map. This would be a massive upset.
I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches on the coaching. That's unfortunate. The coaching side of things for M80. Drew Spark and Chet now to help. And with, Victor reprising his Sentinel role that we saw him on with NRG last year. So no reason for them not to be hot favorites in a game like this. And now, at least have a proper rifle. We're still not really in the territory of, getting a defense side operating here for M80, but they are once more just going to give up mid, but there's so much more of this util to play behind, and Bao's just been stalling there towards A main.
Kaiu's playing this far back position, just jiggle peeking to see if there's going to be any presence at mid, if there's going to be an attempt at a B split. And now does rotate over towards B. They're ready to anchor this with 3 M80.
Really just raw takes that fight. Sato maybe a little bit unprepared for that. Looks to take a fight there, refracting back. Now some advice util becoming relevant, though, and Victor's able to find 2 off the back of it. We'll add another one to that tally here, and now Ambrosia are trapped here in the site. And for Okeanos and Co, it's just a matter of petering in and taking what they surely feel is theirs. Satellite got to the site. 3 weapons trained in the direction of the Yoru here, and a spike that, well, needs to be salvaged over in the market direction. And I don't think Satellite has the shekels to obtain it.
Well closed out from Kaiu, but Victor's anchoring there was really fantastic. I personally, at the moment, I feel like Vice is clearly the best Sentinel to be picking on this map. The Cypher, obviously not bad. The other agents are decent, but I do think that the Vice is cut above at the moment. Yeah, it's just still so strong. The way that you can cut off teams that are trying to get into the sites. So obviously not a lot that needs to be covered by the trips on this map either. The sheer wall definitely suffices for getting that passive info gain. I am a big fan at the moment.
And honestly, you would normally want the Cypher, especially when you have the Jet fast hitting, and trying to trip her up a little bit here. But with the Yoru, I can kind of circumvent a lot of those trap wires anyway. So it doesn't feel as valuable either way. Speaking of which, Satellite now is going to head in onto their B site under this dimensional drift. Okeanos really aware that there's probably going to be an emergence there over towards the B side itself, and Okeanos is fighting already well. He tries to emerge there. We're hoping Satellite could maybe found a different timing. At least he's able to turn it into a trade, but Sato definitely has been alerted. Shonex tries to cross here and just gets outgunned. These guys are shooters. M80 have that star power, firepower, and Sato is putting it on display for us here. Absolutely taken down.
That got pretty messy for Ambrosia, going for a lot of solo swings, and you could see every time from their point of view, they were looking at two M80 players. You are not going to come out on top playing that situation so individualistic. You know, I was looking at the ultimates, and I'm thinking, well, M80, they can probably just use that Steel Garden to get back in, get the retake off. And I think that's actually why Ambrosia felt like they needed to take the fight to them, because they were congested in that site. If Victor did pop that ultimate, it would have connected onto everyone. They would have only had pistols left, but they just didn't time that up together to fight forward. And M80 really picked them apart piece by piece.
I mean, it does feel like Ambrosia served him up a lot of duels. I mean, you are feeding your team into the wood chipper that is known as Sato. And it's an interesting way, I think, to try and go about playing against a team like M80, who aren't just fearsome in reputation. So Ambrosia here now have to figure out sort of how they maintain a foothold in this game when the economy becomes really uncomfortable.
I think what's really going to be interesting to see about this M80 team is this M80 team were improving so rapidly since Sato was able to get his visa, start playing with the squad. It was only maybe a month or so period of time where they went from kind of surprisingly being more in that middle table to getting to the very top. And then while they're almost at the absolute top, only SR above them, they opt to bring in Victor, this veteran player, Chet, veteran coach. I just want to see if this is going to immediately take them to the next level. Will this just straight away put them in position to be the best Challengers team?
So does this stuff have diminishing returns because you've got to get acclimated? You've maybe got to meet Victor in the middle a little bit, maybe a change of style for M80 based on what they're used to. At the very least, sometimes it can set you back a little bit in the interim when they're trying to sort of integrate these players. But better now than, you know, close to playoffs. This is an M80 team that probably doesn't get too much about not winning stage one. The circuit points were good. Still a great chance, of course. You really want to be peaking, you know, much like 2G did, right, towards the end of the year, towards Ascension. So, with that goal in mind, a much longer time horizon for this M80 team. However, well, time might be short for this Ambrosia team now as it Steel Garden hits Arcade inside mid here. I don't think they're quite aware of the position of this Teho yet, but they're able to dig them out. Bow's able to finish them off here, and it's carnage through the middle part of the map until Ambrosia are able to turn it around. Nice work clearing back into mid with some of this util. Glyphy is very low and Satellite is beat up, but managed to take 3 guns away from M80 here, and what was supposed to be a walk-up for the defenders has gone a little wonky.
Another being flanked from all angles. They don't expect Shandex, but he had to claim at least one.
30 seconds left.
The timing's not there either. I mean, I think Glyph maybe swings off that from top mid and takes an opportunity, but it's not there. And now once again, 1 by 1. At least in that case, they both tried to play off of each other with some spacing, but Ambrosia, it does fall apart. I respect their desire to continue fighting M80 while they're in a bit of a weird position like mid, but again, people like Victor looking like he has not missed a beat. Kio's been very solid in these fights, and well, we just spent a bunch of time talking about what Sato is capable of doing, so tough for Ambrosia to take M80 down on a pound-for-pound basis, especially with weaker guns.
A rare moment where a team uses the Steel Garden that aggressively in the mid-round. You don't see that happen. And then M80 just go for this full push into mid, which is honestly scary, though, because they were getting, you know, shot by players over towards tiles. They could get shot by players top mid. It wasn't particularly safe. And honestly, it feels like Ambrosia should have been able to capitalize on that aggro play if Shandex just put someone in the body bag on that little flank through mid. But regardless, it sent them onto the eco, and M80 are really wrangling control of this game back after, you know, losing that one early anti-eco.
Close from there, Sato actually allowed the refract to expire, so they wouldn't have been able to get out of jail free. But round like this, you just need that one shot off the Outlaw. And M80 have this scoped weapon on defense side play locked in at this point. Ambrosia now have to add that to the tally of things they need to be able to overcome, and it's scary. Sato here looking towards speed weapon. There's still 2 players inside B main, and Kyu's looking for every fight they can possibly take. Moving up close, but Glyph's pretty handy with the Sheriff as it turns out. Okeanos has Armageddon, and Sato, all of this movement again. It's just an overload of players into that position. Clean shooting there. Back for that spawn side for the defenders.
And that is the perfect display of why I love the Vice on this map. They're trying to execute into that B site. So you send, of course, your duelist goes in, that space creator, satellites in over at switch standard. You want to close that market door. But the rest of his team, they're cut off by a shear wall. Okay, then Shondex comes through. He gets the kill on Vic in sight. And then they're getting mollied in the choke and they can't come out. Like, just having that additional wall that you literally cannot walk past and you're just stuck in main, and then you have mollies, you're never getting into the site. It's so frustrating.
Sato with aggressive pop here on the A side, though. Conversion path already activated, so Sato is moving a little bit quicker. And he sees the reprisal as it comes in from Ambrosia, refracts on out. And a lot of space now taken. That allows Okeanos to be inserted over towards Wine, but things are faring a little better at B. The issue is still going to be that Vice annoyingly thrown up there by Victor that you can't really just like force out unless you have multiple players and like, you know, B main is smoked, but that wall stays.
M80 have really come into this defense side intending on throwing haymakers. It's just mega aggro plays opening rounds. So Shondex is really picking them apart here. It should be free at this point. They're making a good decision splitting into the A site. They've even got the neural theft because he's collected those 2 kills.
All missiles away.
Paranoia's coming in. Salvos from both sides. This slows up Ambrosia to a degree, but Glyph's going to get ahead of it, gets TP'd onto the site, and Okeanos, frankly, just isn't ready for the crossfire that's set up. Here's an Armageddon that comes in. 3 Ambrosia plays. It's too much to look at for Victor. A good opening here. Despite Ambrosia having to give up a lot of space early in the round, they're able to re-clear that A main and just confidently walk up onto the side.
Respect to Shondex, who straight up wins 2 1v1 duels. I mean, he catches a nice little timing where Bao was fully exposed on the B site initially, and then they make that great pivot getting into the A split as a team. This moment was crucial. You know, Bao's really just caught out in the open there. Sato, who, you know, used that convergent paths, but ends up feeling like he wasted it. Couldn't add any value early.
All right. Keo here obviously has the null command ready wired, so if there's any early warning to make it a little bit harder for Ambrosia to get in onto the site, and crucially catching Gyoru with any of that suppression is generally devastating for the duelist.
Yeah, so depending on the distance, could turn off the Hunter's Fury as well from Welly.
Great point. And you have to imagine that Ambrosia are aware of this. The play with the spike is the most far forward right now. It's Welly is trying to look for a way in. Sato now starting to get busy, activated on this B side of the map. It's going to be a little bit hard to see anything from here.
I love this decision to pivot to the AWP now with Sato and control B main, where Shondex has been walking up for free. So if he tries to just contact, free kill.
That sheer wall virtually an alarm bot for M80 in mid here, not catching anyone. Here it is. Kyu just has a feeling for this timing, so does throw out this null command. Looks like it's catching onto the 2 players over towards the A main side of the map here. Shondex also currently suppressed, not that it's a problem. And Victor will be stuck. Didn't have to worry about trigger discipline so much. Okeanos is here for a swing off. His Arkin has got to be dead here. There's no way he's getting out of there. And now the hit comes in onto A. Dimensional Drift going to be used here for Satellite to try and get ahead of the game, but this is a purely speculative Hunter's Fury. Bao sidestepping it to some degree. Satellite gets into hell, but he's known and noted. Welly, the one with the spike, was in no position to get involved in any of that fight, especially with the dark cover in A main, cut him off.
10 seconds left.
I mean, obviously the round is just legitimately done after Victor catches that first kill onto Shondex. Oki heads on over from spawn to set up the swing off Victor's contact to claim the second. And then when the A hit comes in, well, it's no longer an A split. They're just going through main, and they're down another guy who's Hunter Fury. I mean, you're cooked. It's over. Ambrosia were probably hoping to sell some presence towards maybe a B split by breaking the door, or maybe even wrapping someone through spawn. Who knows? But well played from Vic, who has been on point so far.
That didn't take too much there. Victor obviously gets the advance warning because the shield wall was triggered, and, you know, cleverly just decides to embed himself on that corner. So Ambrosia in a position maybe to pressure this B main spot, but still be dealing with this Vice util, including that frustrating sheer wall. So we'll see some util expended to fight for that B main spot.
Does break one of the Razor Vines, those missiles, and well, now they know there's an operator over towards B, and I'm going to imagine that will slow them down at least temporarily.
Okay, so yeah, gate crash back over towards spawn for Satellite. They don't like what they've seen over at B, or rather heard in that case, so can't really blame them. Sato, though, has been pretty quick about this. He's already pulled his way out over towards mid.
I love the speed on that rotation. But now at this point, you know, enough time has expired. Ambrosia have to be worried about walking up mid or anywhere, frankly.
M80 just saw the Tango in B main off a 0 point there.
All right, good sober drone. That gives a moment for Shondex to be able to walk up, no longer in danger of the operator on the angle. Take some space deep mid. M80, they're starting to feel the pressure a little bit now. They've lost some crucial map control late into the round, but the time is dwindling. The execute is going to have to come out through main. They have to deal with the Vice util.
Satellite has to be careful. Gate crashing ahead of this Vice wall. Having that come up could be a problem, but they get into the site now. Q aware that their interlopers are very, very close. Blue Cliff and Satellite managed to get in. And Sato took a solo opportunity from spawn side. By the looks of things, it was punished for it. But Victor carefully peeks out from the house here.
10 seconds
It's
left.
just going to be a struggle now to hang on. A lot of those anchoring presence is gone. But Victor now falling. Bound's going to be forced out into the sunlight by that Armageddon. Seems like a worthwhile investment. And while the HUD indicates that there are players up for M80, that's definitely not the case.
No, they are very much not alive, and I believe that's going to be putting them in an awkward economic position as we head into round 10. Ambrosia have done a fair job clawing around back here and there, despite M80 looking like they were in fairly firm control for the majority of this half. Victor's trying his best to anchor back side. Bao's trying to teleport, but it's just a little bit too late. A lot of awkward moments in that round.
I mean, I feel like so much of this round is built off that deep mid control that Ambrosia were able to put together. Because I think if you're coming out of B main, you know that obviously you don't have to cover the angle at all. And Sato actually challenged from CT and got punished really quickly. At that point, you also have Yoru and Omen who can, you know, circumvent that shield wall essentially, and at least prevent Yoru from being the sole player on the other side of that wall. I thought it was just honestly really solid, but getting mid for what felt like free wire there, I think, as Shondex was able to push up has been pretty crucial. Do feel like Shondex has kind of been the epicenter for a lot of the positive stuff here for Ambrosia.
Yeah, 100%. He has been the playmaker. He's been finding opening kills, getting that crucial space at times.
Thanks.
This is the entire economy on the line for M80 right here. Ambrosia have a legitimate chance of evening up the half. Despite M80 stringing those 4 rounds together, that would be very impressive, but they have to deal with Sato's op yet again.
Clearly some settling in still to be done, not only on this map, but maybe in general for M80. Big shake-ups to the roster that in theory would send them in a positive trajectory right now. Just need to put some early growing pains that need to be worked through. Shondex hit by the special delivery there. Forced out as Okeanos was maybe hoping to capitalize off the stun, but the team get the heck out of there very, very quickly. Looks like this, you know, this expulsion of util from the Ambrosia side of A main here. It's M80 feeling happy to play over towards that A site, but that is an attack side smoke left in A main here. So M80 will potentially have to re-clear wine.
Yeah, they're also happy to play there on account of Oki being willing to solo fight for B main, and the only player that he's encountered late now is just the Cypher. Leads them to believe the pack is elsewhere, and they are correct because Ambrosia are about to run into 4 players.
Oh yeah, M80 on pack watch presently.
30 seconds left.
Again, they saw the attack side smoke in A main, so they've got every reason to sort of be on edge. Ambrosia almost gave them a reason to keep their resources allocated at this part of the map. 20 seconds left of the round, though. It is go time. Satellite tries to gate crash into the back of the site, but keeps whips around there and takes care of him. And Bal can just emerge here whenever he pleases virtually, but Archean's able to close the gap, get close to him. Glyph, another big pick off here. Steel Garden now going to be drawn out. by Victor, but he can't capitalize on it. It's a special delivery. Will render him useless in combat. But Glyph gets picked off. Salvos find their mark, and Arkian was all alone without a plant.
That was a round where M80 were just far superior on the macro. Ambrosia just did not do enough to draw those rotates elsewhere. They only had sent out one stealth drone from Arkian that went into B main, and that was somewhere around the mid-round. And then maybe 10, 15 seconds later, Okeanos sends his stealth drone, only sees Shondex, walks into B main for free. So why would M80 ever rotate off the A site? They just know exactly where Ambrosia are headed.
Spike down A.
And it looks like their Caillou is actually paranoid, so it doesn't have like sound cues to play off of, but sees the gate crash come in and just knows exactly how to respond to Satellite trying to get in onto the site.
Oh, Victor actually has the ult now because the Waylay Sato did that quick light speed dash down mid. They wanted to go for the aggressive play towards tiles, and now they're in a situation where they need to fully retake.
Glyph sees Victor go past. Victor's so adamant about re-establishing this heaven control, though. I've got to respect it. 0 point deployed. Darth and Victor has had everything thrown at him to essentially nullify the presence of the operator at heaven in this round, and it's worked. So much committed to it. Caillou then tries to challenge, brought down. Glyph having a fantastic round, and the last one wasn't too shabby either. Such a clean hit to end the half here for Ambrosia. Gotta be feeling good. A 5-round attack side half here on Ascent.
Yeah, super respectable, especially given on that last round. Hey, they keep it simple. They know that aggro play was going down mid. Shondex was able to hear all that, communicated to the team who were closer to main. They hit the gas, free sight. It's clean, simple, easy. They went out with good crossfires. M80 failing at the retake due to it.
All right, heading to the second half here. We do know, of course, that this M80 comp we've been seeing a whole lot on that attack side, still quite powerful. Feels reminiscent, I guess, of the standard comp of this map there. The Bedge comp was eventually dubbed, but with a little bit of extra power, given what Teho and even Waylay can provide. Earlier main play, utter disrespect of the one-way, so M80 already getting a ton of real estate to an A site that's very loosely held by the defenders. And I think that 0 point will be very illuminating.
Shondex is hoping to get something off this kill trip that's placed over towards Switch.
I spotted it out, I think. Oh no, okay, triggered here, but Shondex doesn't have any way to play off of that here, so full retake setup for Ambrosia from the very start of the round. They actually do have a cam that's looking at a quick glimpse of the setup here on site. They want to come through the door here, though M80 don't want to be corralled into this small space, and Victor takes the challenge. Glyph falls in on Grassy, and again, shots hitting beautifully now. Arkian's able to find two, but it's going to take a lot more than that, and Bao is deadly accurate as M80 secure that crucial attack side pistol.
I like the game plan from M80 post getting the spike down, which was that stack up towards the door. It breaks, we go through, and on that timing window, they had a Victor slowly creeping up. Cat, perfect timing where they swing as a unit from both Cat and Door, collect onto Glyph, and from there they really just run around as the herd, getting all the kills. I mean, yeah, you can just see the way that they're facing together. And then Bao has that position at Gen. Really well executed pistol round.
Right, now we're going to fight here for this A main. Look at this from Ambrosia. What a push out. Bao actually gets caught out by the guy to Salvo here. And Ambrosia is sticking around. They're going to flash themselves through this smoke. Oh, it's about to get hot and heavy, folks. As the dust settles, it's an even trade here for the defenders. Although the A side is completely wide open, there's a real chance here for Shondex and Willie if they can put it together.
Unfortunately, they've only got the classics. That's really going to be, or rather, really could be their undoing. Do they try to go to A main and collect some guns is the question. It looks like they may intend on doing so. At the moment, Oki is clawing for M80 to get back into this round. It was heads up of him to play that anti-flash position, nullify some of those aggressive defensive players. I mean, Ambrosia are split up right now.
Yeah. I'm impressed that Welly resists the temptation to go, no, break! No, Victor! Again, you have to expect it. And it's most likely they try and go for the guns there, but Victor can't tell if there's one or two players in tree, and so hedges his bets by, well, looking at tree. Not a great hedge, actually, if I'm honest with you. Swing their attempt here by Welly. No weapons to hand clear. They're all on Okeano's side of the map right now. Welly might have been able to pick one up just now, and they did got a sting at hand, but still need to find a defuse, and Okeanos does not want to give him any breathing room. Clean stuff, 4K on the round. That could have gone, frankly, either way after Ambrosia get a bit hot and heavy with it early.
Yeah, needs not be said, but Okeanos completely saves M80, not just in the clutch, but in that earlier moment where the aggression was coming from Ambrosia, that pop flash out of the dark cover, him playing anti. Yeah, in this moment, he's able to dodge that and collects 2 kills, cleans things up.
What am I watching?
I mean, it seems like later, what happened in this moment with Shondex, I think Victor just got sound baited, assumed that both players would be together. Yeah. So when Welly was knifing the door like they were trying to break it, he assumed there wouldn't be a flanker.
Yeah. I think, you know, out of 3 options, both players going A main, both players going tree, and them splitting A main and tree, I would expect you know, after hearing the sound cue in tree, that both were there. Even if I've only heard one pair of footsteps, because it's a bloody clutch. And they've got crappy weaponry as well, but not the way it ended up here. And it'll be a ping onto the waylay and B main as Welly is, well, we've seen this one before. I like the trap ball being thrown up there, though, by Victor. That is nasty.
Great for mid-round passive info gain. M80, by the way, they've fully committed to this. This is not a bonus. They have full bought. They want to crush Ambrosia's economy and win the game right now.
They got up mid for free, but Satellite was going to be sitting in that locked corner and takes a free shot as well. Now falling back to Boathouse. M80 have slowed the pace down. A lot of this noise, maintaining some mid presence there for Bao, but surely eventually they want to try to establish a stranglehold on this B side. Welly has the Odin still. Caillou lit up there by that trip, but is able to slide back off of it. The angles get challenged here, but Ambrosia are very well equipped to hold here. M80 awkwardly, like you mentioned, it's a full commitment from this in this round, and it's a flawless for the defenders.
They were never going to crack that site with the setup that Ambrosia had. Still tripwires active towards lane from Shondex. Satellite, eyes on stairs with the op. Odin back in sewer. Nightmare scenario for M80 to try and breach into B. Clean as it gets, their economy, yeah, broken, and now Ambrosia, opportunity to make that round 2 on an anti-eco here.
Things definitely get a little bit awkward. It's the one player with logs that just kind of unravels things for M80. Cut the head off the snake and the rest of the play. Oki wants to play up that one way and even commits the guided salvo into guaranteeing the can. All of M80 rather on that side of the map. It was Arkian fighting Godly on the defense side, pardon me. Also with a salvo here to set up as this comes for a push now. Paranoia thrown out. Look at where that Armageddon is. That forces a refract entirely.
Well, they're getting some fair Odin spam across. This one from M80 jumping, but that is just not going to be enough.
Now they're going to have to find out how to dig this Odin out of position in the coming rounds. Why? Because Welly is going to be a real nuisance when he plays up on that corner. I don't know what the tree part of the map did to offend both teams, but both Armageddons were committed in that same space.
Yeah, the Armageddons, I can't say they've gotten the max value yet. I feel like we've seen tons of them. Both Teos really doing their best to collect those orbs. All right, M80 there, going to be back on the full buy now. I believe Welly is maybe just one orb away from having that Hunter's Fury if he doesn't have it already. Yeah, he's just one away now after collecting so many kills. Do M80 just want to fast hit into B? They have to deal with some obnoxious tripwires. There are some new kill trips on this site that you can use, by the way, after they changed lane.
Satellite actually pushed up Cat there for info wire. Ambrosia, apparently not expecting this investment from M80. Or at least not to have a player watching over from Tiles. Odd little exchange there early on. Paranoia comes in through from CT, but outside the Odin ringing it out yet again. Okeanos very wary about trying to fight Welly on that corner. You lit for a time, but Okeanos has to get ahead of this. It's dangerous. Welly is such a problem. M80, for all of their experience, still struggling to deal with ye olde Odin on B side.
The all reliable Oki has been so clutch so far, though. Can he do it again?
Sound cue made. I think a footstep also heard there by Shondex. Jeez, that was pretty classy stuff, Wyatt. Swing into a headshot here, and Ambrosia have shrunk the lead of M80 to a singular round. Bear in mind, this is the second best team from stage 1 versus the team who had to fight tooth and claw not to be relegated.
That will force M80 into the timeout. Coach Shet taking over for this squad. I'm about 90% sure that that one tripwire that Shondex had where Willie was able to get the free kill, spamming through the wall on lane, is a new kill trip that you can place only since the Ascent changes, whereas, you know, there's that little metal wall that gives some more little weird trip angles that you can place stuff off of. Yeah. So, you know, still playing against a Cypher on that site where there's some new awkward trips to watch for. This is a moment in time where you're probably going to be able to have a higher percentage chance of catching people out with them.
I mean, that's kind of the risk, right? You introduce this new geometry, those flat plates that have vertices, so you can sort of get these weird angles off those trips for. And yeah, now we're starting to get into the rounds that feature the Odin very heavily. Willie, slow start to the game, but as soon as that weapon was established, it's been pretty devastating. That was just the end of that previous round. Nice looks from Shondex. So, M80 really bought quite aggressively in those last 3 rounds. They lost them all. Still want to go for shares. Still some really impactful ultimates you can imagine on a later round they're looking to make use of, but they're dealing with an outlaw, which is obviously very relevant in such a round. The Odin for Willie also will be a problem.
What is the move for M80 out of the timeout on this bad buy? I mean, certainly they had a lot to discuss with Chet about their intentions for the full buy with the ultimates after this, but they'd love to get a cheeky round win here to not let Ambrosia tie this game up, not let their economy get further out of control.
Papa gets in there, but Glimp's ready to take the fight. With all the bluff and blunder that M80 just displayed, Ambrosia able to clean them up. Glip here will play on the safe side of the tree door for now, and it is just a matter of take your pick. Ambrosia look like they're going to be able to take every weapon out of this round, and M80 completely stuffed. You'll notice, of course, that Victor is on the wrong side of the wall if he wants to be picking that spike up, and on the wrong side of the dark cover that will keep him out of the game.
It has been looking absolutely effortless for Ambrosia. I like the idea from M80 with Sato trying to dash in deep, and it just wasn't enough. Glyph's anchoring shut him down straight away, get some free spam into main with the Phantom after that as well. Their economy is absolutely nuts at the moment. It's not going to slow down. That's just going to make it an even steeper climb for M80 in this uphill battle.
See how it goes down here. Glyph's been fantastic, and you understand, right? Like why Sato's trying to play off of the the pings onto the enemy Goro, not expecting him to be on that angle while being revealed. Just, loses out the fight, but the weapons are a little bit weaker now. A potential fast B hit here off a null command, but Kay's position doesn't necessarily imply that right now. They're playing a bit more towards tiles. Yep, well, there's the op on the line. This is pretty average stuff here for M80. Not really, I would say, playing around too many of these operator angles, but it's a bit of an odd one that Satellite has taken up here. Finally, they'll be forced off the line briefly by that fragment. Still let Victor get up on the speedway at least, as Oki will get a plant down. Caillou pops the clone here, and Satellite goes past interdimensional drift. Might just emerge here and take the fight with the shorty. It's an easy win, and now it's up to Oki V5. That's right, you heard it here first, folks. M80 are struggling against Ambrosia.
I would love to know how well he found a kill on the other side of the map with the Hunter's Fury, by the way. I was distracted by that as Satellite found that op kill. What happened there in main? Someone just walked out into the open? Was that an angle from Market? I would love to see that on the replay. And perhaps, I think it all got thrown awry because Bao was the one getting caught by the Hunter's Fury, so he couldn't actually give them any smokes. I would need to see this again.
Yeah,
I think that is the case, actually. Yeah, Bao couldn't place. I'm gonna say that that's the excuse for there not being a smoke there, and then just walking into that open sightline because Bao was getting hit by the Hunter's Fury, did end up going down to it. This is tragic for M80. They didn't even get to use any of their ults that round, but hey, at least they have 5 of them now. Surely they can convert.
Obviously, if Ambrosia won't just be buying for the rest of the game at this point. Here's their null command. We expected M80 to try and make a play off of. It's not quite as high pace as we would have expected because they've got to respect playing contact into an offline could go badly for another round. Aki actually gets ahead of that spectral delivery, but spotted out. Doesn't matter. Caillou's still going to fall like a sack of potatoes. Bao wants to span through over towards the heaven direction now, and you notice that Welly, I think, is hiding in the smoke. No, it's Satellite with Shorty. How did I get that wrong? Okeanis here up on the side, but lit there. Welly able to punish on towards Sato. This Odin combining with the scan util is too much for M80 to deal with, Wyatt. Again, reveal of Okeanis on the side. Shondex is able to capitalize this time. And buddy, what is going on here? For this ostensibly top team, Ambrosia are taking them to task.
Even at that, the shock darts from Willie did a hell of damage to Bao. He got down to like 60. Willie is, I mean, the new Odin spam angle just dropped. What's the image? Used to be friends with a B main. A Heaven is my best friend now. Something like that. I mean, bro is just getting the free recon spam every time. This has been so straightforward from M80. 4-1. We hit sight. And it's not working. Yeah. Ambrosia's anchoring has been fantastic. And they're flooding back in with ease.
We throw recon ball and we just shoot people through walls. I think Welly, since the start of the game, is like 10-1. Something ridiculous like that. Maybe even more. Just absolutely dominating. There it is. We'll get up onto a contact line.
Time to go back to B, fellas, and tragically dead immediately. I mean, you are feeling the pain of a lack of Sova in some of these situations where you would be able to drone someone off the line, theoretically.
And yeah, I mean, you have some scan util, right? But we know that KO is a bit more limited in that sense, in that you get some information, but not positional necessarily, outside of people being in the radius of that knife. Sato can get some information, right, by being able to pull on out of there, but Ambrosia very, very good at making an informed decision off that. Initiate a util to start the round. Acrian, as it should be pronounced, pardon me. A little tournament realm issue there. It's going to be able to at least go 1 for 1. This takes M80 with very weak weapons down to just 3 guns. Satellite again, playing inside of these dark covers with the shorties. This doesn't get old, folks. Yoru's been a real nuisance, but M80 at least set up a post plant with a Guardian and a Vandal to make use of here.
Cliff has a smoke. He can cover up a main, has a paranoid to get out. Yeah, there's that dark cover. It's going to force Bao into the site with just that Sheriff.
Rather, paranoia comes through. Satellite with switching over to the rifle when it matters. Oki makes it interesting, but not nearly interesting enough to get me sat up in my seat here as Ambrosia are going to map point here. Pardon. What a way to start off stage 2 here of Challengers, really. Never a dull moment out here in tier 2.
Definitely have to give some regard to the efforts from Oki. He is desperately trying to keep M80 in this game, but unfortunately, too much for one singular man to do. This was once again using the word effortless from Ambrosia in this 4-on-3, just pooling into the site together. M80, they have all 5 players outside of B. They will be running into multiple Ambrosia defenders.
Oh, this is a nice
with the kill trips set up yet again. They are in danger.
Multiple of those trips set up towards Speedway. Even to catch the cross into Switch House. Satellite, we're going to try and fight ahead of it here. This time he walks up onto the line and gets a lot of info.
Oh, look at Ambrosia on the map right now. They're pushed all the way out of A main because M80 just straight up inside, so they're going to be getting flanked soon too.
Steel Garden came through there from Victor, but most of Ambrosia are unaffected by it. Happened to play for a bit of retake in this situation. They've got Armageddon ready, which is going to be devastating. And again, we just walk up, take a swing. It's just a weak spot there towards market as far as M80's sort of B-sides post-plant protocol is concerned. Here's an Armageddon now that's going to clear Speedway out entirely. One will come from the attack side though, and wow, M80 really able to capitalize on it there. Players forced out of CT. Oki able to make short work of them. Another 3K round as Acrian. Well, pretty much no chance to get back into this round now as Ambrosia at least are being kept honest. Stopped in their tracks here at map point.
The desperation from Okeanos to win this game. He's at 24 for 14 now on the Tejo. There's a 3K the round prior to this one where he just gets another casual 4K, cleaning up everyone, taking these duels from B main, making it look oh so simple.
Far from though, in reality, M80 were, it was a little scary for them at one point after the Armageddon started to come down, clear them away, but they maintain a foothold in the game and a chance to get some decent money. Victor again has that operator. Just wants to play inside B main while the rest of M80 go and see what they can rustle up here towards the middle part of the map with both Sato and Oki playing on the other side of that dark cover.
Still trying to get some info, and Satellite does not want to be caught by that, doesn't want to have to, lose that gate crash if he gets suppressed.
Surely this spam will act as some form of deterrent. Well, you'd think so, M80. hope that Ambrosia believe that as well, because they've stuck 2 players in the market now, essentially undetected. And our drone, though, from CT side, is going to be able to spot them out. It looks like a salvo got thrown in the CT direction. Okeanos just gets timinged a little bit there. Kai tries to respond, but it's a clone thrown out by the ever-annoying satellite. Still, we have players getting close now over towards this site, and his trips will be circumvented by Sato's direction. Also tries to walk over that salvo, just put on by Shondex. That is rough. Shondex at 4 health. Able to find yet another kill. Okay, M80 probably just lost the map there. Shondex been kind of cracked, especially at the start of this game and the end. A bit of a bookend here for Ambrosia. Now it's up to Victor and Bao, and Shondex just tears him to shreds. My God, guy's got fantastic motility. Have to respect it. 4K for Shondex to end the map. And I can't believe I'm saying this, folks, but Ambrosia just took Ascent off M80.
It was their map pick, to be fair, and they looked pretty damn good on it. Shondex on both attack and defense was finding mega value. That was a little silly how that ended, with Caillou being 1,000,000% convinced that he was still at that box. It just didn't look for any potential that he could have rotated. A chaotic end, but got to give it to Ambrosia. They played quite well, and maybe a situation for M80 where, because they've just brought in Chet and Victor, not a lot of time to flesh out the full map pool. They feel decent enough on Ascent, so it doesn't get banned, but they haven't really fully worked out what they want to do on attack yet. That was really straightforward, and Ambrosia were certainly a cut above on Ascent at least. But when we get to M80's map pick, definitely expecting for them to pick it up. Surely they don't get too owed by Ambrosia to kick off stage 2.
We need a little shaping up on split, I think, from NA80 to keep our confidence in this team high after such a solid stage 1. We gassed them up so much at the start of the game. I'm going to be real, I'm shocked to see this result. But we'll be back after the break. Map number 2, it's Ambrosia versus M80, and the underdog team snaps up the first map.
Fugat, vai! Fazendo all of my teach.